Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in to my super chat. Thank you, first and foremost, Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, the two best moderators in all of YouTube. Thank you, gentlemen, as always. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great show this evening. And to my super chat, again, thank you so very, very much. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding. So, for everyone who supports my work, I just want to thank you very, very much. And actually, this is a new hat. The other one was a different color. This is more of an authentic Russian, I think it's called Ushanka hat. I call it the babushka hat. And what can I tell you? It was a gift from Vladdy. Just joking. This is just it's my way of keeping warm, but it's also my way of enjoying an amusing symbol, or an amusing way to enjoy the hysteria, the Democratic Party absurdity and hysteria regarding Trump-Russia. Really quickly, before we get into my usual ranting and raving, CNBC, Pelosi on possible second Trump impeachment in lame duck session. We have our options. They're going to impeach President Trump after he's won the presidency, which is pretty hilarious. He's going to win. Ladies and gentlemen, he's got that's right, class 7 sewing, yes. Richard, they're awesome. They're really, really warm. So after like 2 hours of me talking, it doesn't even have to be that cold, but like just the talking for 2 hours straight. Cyan, hello. But ladies and gentlemen, let's discuss the psychology of Democrats. So House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Sunday did not rule out impeaching President Donald Trump or Attorney General William Barr. So William Barr is also going to be impeached if the Senate tries to push through a Supreme Court nomination during a lame duck session if Joe Biden wins the November election. So he's not winning. He's going to be replaced eventually by Madam Secretary. I explained that today. The whole thing's a bunch of nonsense. The whole thing's a bunch of nonsense. And I'm thinking they could probably get the vote through before November 3rd. But let's continue. Only a day after Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's passing on Friday evening, Trump said he would pick his nominee in the upcoming week, and the candidate would likely be a woman. It's going to be Amy Coney Barrett, almost certainly. I've been talking about this for a long time. Barbara Lagoa would be fantastic as well. But it's going to be Amy Coney Barrett. Only a day. Okay, so far, 2 Senate Republicans, Susan Collins of Maine and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, have opposed a vote on the nominee before the election. So the vote is going to be before the election. They're not going to wait. They're not going to wait until the election, even though President Trump's going to win. So President Trump's going to win. D. Lynn, hello. D. Lynn, hello. It's a veteran who approves. Hello. It's interesting. We have our options, Pelosi said. We have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now. Ooh, wow. That's frightening. But the fact is, we have a big challenge in our country. Yeah, you cheated Bernie Sanders. You changed the rules of the Senate. You bullied and intimidated your voters and said, you better vote. We might lose the Supreme Court. Well, if you knew you were going to lose the Supreme Court because there were enough voters who wouldn't fall in line, why did you force them to do their own thing? Why did you act in a manner that was so repulsive? Even the prospect of a Republican Supreme Court wasn't enough to keep them in line. You cannot do anything good in life by telling a loved one, a family member, somebody in an organization, fall in line. That if you hear the words fall in line, unless you're in the military or some kind of organization where there's a hierarchy and you have no choice but to fall in line, nothing good comes from that statement. You cannot tell people who have every right not to vote for a political party. Like human beings, like Americans, we're not born to show allegiance to the Democratic Party. That's not the way it works. Exactly. They want him to self-impeach probably again. They're completely delusional. It's unbelievable. But here, so right now our main goal, and I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg would want that to be, would be to protect the integrity of the election as the American people from the as we protect the American people from the pandemic. Yeah, right. New York, New Jersey, the governors of Democratic-run states have presided over the worst loss of life pertaining to the pandemic. And God bless the people in those states. The governors, the New York governor, putting infected people in old age homes, the most vulnerable. And then you find out there were shady dealings between the governor and old age homes. I have faith in the American people on this Sunday morning. Okay, so one day after Ruth Bader Ginsburg's passing, Trump vowed on he would pick a nominee in the upcoming week, likely a woman, and said that his administration wants to move ahead with the nomination before the election. McConnell, Trump have vowed to confirm his third Supreme Court justice before the election. Before the election. Before the election. Sing it, everyone. Before the election. Democrats did this to themselves. When you cheat Bernie Sanders, that's what you get. You shouldn't have cheated Bernie Sanders. You shouldn't have spent 4 years blaming Russia. There are several leading contenders on, and by the way, they could have simply, I thought the blue wave was going to get them the Senate. They spent 2 years, and they didn't do enough to get the Senate. There are several leading contenders. Okay, Judge A.B. Coney Barrett of the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals in Chicago has emerged as a front-runner. Okay, as Republicans moved in, so it's going to be Amy Coney Barrett, but as Republicans move ahead in efforts to push a nominee through the Senate Judiciary Committee and to a Senate vote before the year's end, Democrats have pledged to fight the nomination by convincing 4 Republicans to defect. That's impossible because they already have Mitt Romney. Mittens is going to do his job for once. So we have a responsibility, Pelosi said. We take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. The Constitution literally gives the president the right to confirm judges, or to nominate judges, and the Senate to confirm them. Daily Raver! To us, it was an attempt by the Democrats to overthrow the will of the people. To Nancy, it was still Sunday morning. Exactly. Daily Raver, thank you. Thank you. The Constitution says that the president must nominate Supreme Court justices, and the Senate must confirm. They don't have the Senate. They wanted to confirm Merrick Garland during an election year, and they didn't have the Senate. That's why McConnell was able to stop it. So, Daily Raver, thank you. Vincent Ardolino. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said on Wednesday he threatened to introduce a motion to oust Speaker Nancy Pelosi if she attempts to impeach President Trump or Attorney General William Barr. Exactly. So I'm not sure about the teeth behind that. I'm not sure about the teeth behind that resolution, but there's nothing that Democrats are completely and utterly powerless. Exactly. The last wish What was the last wish of Antonin Scalia? How was he treated? It's like Democrats live in their own fantasy world where they demand reverence. They don't give reverence to people. And you should see the way they treated John McCain in 2008. They were despicable towards John McCain in 2008 and 2007. So they didn't care about his military service or his heroism or anything. Democrats were despicable. Democrats, the Clinton campaign, started the birther myth. It was wrong when President Trump continued that, but it was Democrats and Madam Secretary who started that. And David Plouffe stated it was the most shameful and offensive fear-mongering of either side in the election. That was a quote from him. And to my new Patreons, thank you, by the way. John, everyone, thank you so very much. To my new Patreons, thank you very, very, very much. So that was CNBC. This is Axios. AOC and Schumer vow unprecedented action. So this is the Democratic Party intelligentsia. Oh my God, we're so frightened. They vow unprecedented action to fight Trump's Supreme Court plans. They cannot do anything. They are completely and utterly powerless, and they did this to themselves. They did this to themselves. Willie Z, hello. They did this to themselves. They cheated Bernie Sanders. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign. 4 other Democratic officials were forced to resign. And they lost the election because 77,000 voters said, nah, we don't care about any fear tactics. See, this is the thing. You have a whole bunch of Democrats and liberals saying, you see, told you so. That article, H.A. Goodman, didn't age well when you said you weren't going to vote for Clinton. And while I'm supporting President Trump now, and I'm conservative about on the Second Amendment and other issues, mainly the Second Amendment. But I don't want Democrats. It's only a matter of time before you have First Amendment cases pertaining to censorship that Democrats are pulling for. There probably already are some First Amendment cases. But Democrats are, when they lose again, because they're going to lose, and the charade with Biden, first of all, the man, if they go with Biden during the debates, he's going to get eaten alive. He's going to get eaten alive by Trump. And of course, the media will say that, Trump lost and yada, yada, yada. At the end of the day, it's going to be Madam Secretary. You watch. I explained today, she does better among Black and Latino voters. There is zero enthusiasm for Biden. They need voter turnout in cities. They need voter turnout in swing states. They're not going to get the voter turnout because there's no enthusiasm, and there never was for Biden. People, when they answer the phone, are not going, Trump has been given such a bad rap by everybody. When people answer the phone, they're not telling the truth. Or it's 5 or 6 or 7% are not telling the exact truth. New gold dream. Good evening. Second impeachment will only backfire on the Dems. The electorate will see it as a malicious, childish move. It will decide close races like McSally in Arizona and Collins in Maine. Exactly. Peggy, hello. New gold dream, exactly. I agree with you. People are going to see this as a petulant, malicious, typical Democratic Party move. They did this to themselves, so new gold dream. There are people saying, well, you should have fallen in line. That's the mentality that lost the election. You cannot, if you pride yourself on being this wonderful tent. See, Democrats pride themselves on this Ridiculous metaphor. They're a tent. Let's just see here really quickly. Democratic Party tent. The Hill, the Democratic Party platform, represents our big tent. The opinion, the Democratic Party's tent is too big. Yeah. It's a tent that got hit by lightning and is now is now set ablaze. Okay, they keep saying, "Oh, we're this big tent." The problem is nobody wants to be inside this tent. When you force people, new goal dream. If you're the Democratic Party in 2016 and you knew you had tens of thousands of people who would not fall in line, why did you engage in such scorched earth tactics with your most idealistic voters? Why did you say, vintage hello, why did you say, oh, well, you know what, just get over it. Bernie was cheated, just get over it. It's not, why did you allow the Lincoln Project into the Democratic Party? That's the issue here. That's the issue here. Why did you allow the Lincoln Project in the Democratic Party? Not that people care, by the way. Today. Back in 2016, maybe. I mean, obviously. Orange Girl 55, at this point, only nominee that would beat Trump is Baby Yoda. Love you, H.A. Orange Girl 55, thank you. Trump is going 8 years, and they're so clueless. It's unbelievable. What else they're saying? Ocasio-Cortez wouldn't rule out when asked to push him to impeach President Trump, Attorney General Bill Barr, whom she accused of potential lawbreaking. Yeah, like she would know, and being unfit for office, but stressed. It's like you spend all this time boasting and bragging about how you used to be a bartender. Fine, great. There's a lot of really, really intelligent bartenders, but it's like you're suddenly so confident that this man is unfit for office. Why? You haven't explained why. You just regurgitate the same nonsense from the Democratic Party, but stress this would be a matter for the House Democratic leadership. Oh, okay. We need to make sure we mobilize. To ensure this vacancy is reserved for the next president. This is going to be a punch to the gut. This is going to be a body punch. This is going to just take, Daniel, thank you. This is going to take the wind out of their sails. The vote is going to take place before the election, and it's going to galvanize Republicans. It ain't going to galvanize Democrats. You cannot, see, this is the thing. They haven't gotten Medicare for all through the House. They're lying to their voters, and their voters are very weak-willed, and they'll believe anything. They're talking about universal basic income. They're never going to get that passed because it's it's almost certainly not feasible. It's almost certainly not feasible for the entire country, just like it's very likely not feasible to have Medicare for all for 320 million people. It would be a great idea if it was possible, but you would still have to pay for it somehow with taxes. Then they say, well, we have money for military interventions. Yeah, well, you vote Democrat. The Lincoln Project is voting alongside the Medicare for all people. That's number one. Number two, we do have money, unfortunately, for the military interventions. Unfortunately, my website's going to have all the articles I've written against never-ending military conflict. So there's going to be a section within hagoodman.com that talks about my opposition to never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts and regime changes. So I've written in The Hill, The Huffington Post, The Jerusalem Post. I've written against that type of endless military conflict. I have opposed this That's why I would never vote Democrat. But yeah, unfortunately, they borrowed the money. You can't borrow the money forever for 320 million Americans to take care of their health care. Unfortunately, you would have to fit that within the federal budget, which is a quarter of the federal budget already is devoted to about 75 million Americans with Medicare and other federal health care programs. How do you go from a quarter of the federal budget taking care of 75 million Americans to a quarter of the federal budget taking care of 320 million Americans? How does that happen? How does that happen? That's the question that they have to address. But see, the thing is, they're not going to address that question because they're not interested in running on high and doubling to tripling tax collection. They're not interested. They're not interested. They're interested in deceiving the most idealistic members of the Democratic Party tent, because these people do not want to be seen as Trump supporters, so they will deal with anything. They'll deal with anything. You have, okay, the Democratic Party doesn't stand for anything. There are no policies that the Democratic Party stands for. There are no policies. There are no specific policies. President Trump wants a wall. Okay. President Trump wants to end regime changes and counterinsurgency conflicts and bring home Americans. Okay. President Trump wants to make peace deals with countries and preside over economic deals. So you saw that with Serbia and Kosovo. You saw that with Israel and Bahrain and the UAE. You see this with President Trump stepping foot in North Korea to begin détente between North and South Korea, and President Moon Jae-in saying that he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. You see Trump removing soldiers from Iraq. You see Trump ending the Afghan war. You see Trump removing soldiers from Syria. You see Trump ending covert programs, funding rebels, which is another covert type of regime change. So he does all of these things. He stands for you can understand what he stands for. He wants a good economy. He cut taxes, which helped the overall economy. Then you had governors gleefully shutting down their economies under the guise of protecting people. If you have that mentality, ban alcohol tomorrow. Now, if it's a short term, like you had to deal with the pandemic for a month or 2 months, fine. California is still shut down. So, and then we have to there's different levels and there's different colors. It's like, no, the only reason for the shutdown is to ensure emergency rooms weren't overcrowded. That never happened throughout the country. Or at least in most places of the country that never happened. But they're still keeping the economy on lockdown. So they don't have a specific policy. They don't have specific policies. And then they've tried to adopt all of these left-leaning ideologies that are based on euphemisms that are all-encompassing, that pertain to the Democratic Party. You cannot stand behind a euphemism. I'm not going to get into it. But you can't stand behind these euphemisms based on moral superiority, one side having complete and utter moral superiority while voting Democrat. You can't, Democrats truly believe that the blind allegiance to a political party, their blind and total allegiance and loyalty is moral and just. They are completely delusional. And I know these people. They are, it's like children of the corn. They're like part of a cult. They truly believe, and then they make the most absurd leaps of logic. Everybody's the 1930s and 1940s Germans. Yet they don't realize that religious Jewish people and the majority of Israelis love President Trump. So they're not going to vote for the 1930s and 1940s Germans. Okay? They're not going to vote for people like that. But to Democrats, anyone who, they make the leap and absurdly, he's a demagogue. And you know who else was a demagogue? Well, that person was also a vegetarian. So are all vegetarians monsters as well? They don't have any grasp of basic logic. It's like when they don't get what they want, it's blame, 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 blame. And in addition to all of that, they got to this point because, look, when Trump picks his third Supreme Court justice, and I'm very happy because I have a much greater appreciation. When I never received a death threat on the left, I didn't really get it. I didn't really understand. When I had to go to the police station and the officer was like, yeah, there's nothing really we can do. I mean, I can file the police report, but you better protect yourself. And he talked about the Second Amendment. Then it clicked, and it's like, well, okay, this is a right that you have. It's a God-given right to protect you and your family. So I embraced the Second Amendment. And then I read up and did a little research and used basic logic. When somebody commits an atrocity someplace because they obtained a firearm, that doesn't mean millions of gun owners enable that atrocity to take place. Like, they make these absurd leaps of logic. It would be like saying, if a person uses a car to do something horrendous, well, it's the car manufacturer's fault. We have the Second Amendment for a reason. But see, again, like, their leaps of logic are absurd. Well, you didn't fall in line, so therefore we lost. You had every possible conceivable advantage. They had the media. They outspent Trump 2-1. They elevated President Trump. They changed the rules of the Senate. They do this to themselves. And they're still, like, they haven't learned. They have not learned. Then what I find bizarre is they're still harping on Trump's personality. They, never change. They're still harping on Trump's personality. They're saying he's a horrible human being. He's a bad person. IDKENG, hello. When was the last time that you see someone in the Democratic Party in disagreement between them in a hearing? The Democratic Party is run by SCU. Yeah, it's bizarre that they're always on the same page. It's true. They always get the. They're always on the same page. They're always on the same page, and it's interesting how there's no debate within the very little debate within the Democratic Party. IDKENG, thank you. Joel, it's two different studios, quote unquote studios. Joel, thank you. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, thank you. So, right now, they're in free fall. They are absolutely in free fall. Trump refuses to commit to a peaceful transition of power after Election Day. This is hilarious. Why don't you win first? I mean, it's unbelievable. Win the White House first, Democrats. It ain't going to be this year. But they didn't have a peaceful transition of power when they continued to investigate President Trump based on nonsense. That's not peaceful. politicizing your intelligence agencies to go after a president under the absurd notion that Russia. This is why I love wearing this hat, because Democrats, the people who don't like my work, will be like, oh, that's it. Confirmation. He's wearing a Russian hat. Confirmation. By the way, I'm going to put these awesome embroidered, you'll see. It's awesome. I'm waiting for the other hat. The other hat has a great embroidered patch on it. It's going to look so amazing. You're going to love it. But Eric H526, you are awesome. Luke St. Martin, you are awesome. But yeah, I mean, you got to ask yourself also, like, the debates, what, are in 6 days? It is going to be a political slaughter. And this is so hilarious, too. This is like a Monty Python film. Democrats are like, it's just a flesh wound. Politico, Trump falls into the trap he set for Biden. Oh, my God, really? Tell us how. Some on Trump's team are bracing for a humiliating loss. Oh, I'm sure. After Trump lowered expectations for Biden by mocking his acumen for months. Oh, my God, this is hilarious. Do you understand the mentality? Do you understand the logic? Everyone on the planet knows the former vice president is one fry short of a Happy Meal. He's completely lost his marbles. He slurs his speech, and he mumbles words. He can't even decipher what he's saying. He goes off on these bizarre, outrageous tangents. And the notion now is Trump has lowered the bar so that if Biden is breathing and he's alive, he's won. Oh, Trump, you lost again. Look, this is why I love sports. I love sports. Oh, by the way, you have to subscribe, everyone here, and especially on the playback, on the upload, if you're watching this and you get this far. You have to watch, you have to read and support Jason Whitlock. He's absolutely amazing. I've been watching him I've been reading Jason Whitlock for a long time. Like, I'm talking about 2005, 2006. I'd read his columns. He is one of the great sports journalists. There's a YouTube channel he has alongside another gentleman called The Outkick. Okay? You have to subscribe. You have to subscribe. It's Clay Travis, Jason Whitlock, and David Chow. You have to subscribe. Here's the channel. Support this man, Jason Whitlock. He's absolutely amazing. I'm not going to get into why he's amazing, but let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. I have been reading Jason Whitlock's articles for now, 15 years. And he's one of, and most sports journalists are like political journalists. Okay? But I used to be, ladies and gentlemen, a teacher in LA Unified, a history teacher. This was like about 15 years ago. About 15 years ago. And I would give the students articles, because there were a couple articles that he wrote that had to do with history and, current events, and a lot of things that he wrote that was just extremely relevant and thought-provoking. There was one article that had to do with U.S. history, I remember. And so I would have the students read Jason Whitlock. He is awesome. He's one of the few people he's one of the few people bringing sanity to American culture and sports in particular. We need more Jason Whitlocks. Because you can't, like, in today's world, you just can't be entertained anymore. Hollywood, sports. I mean, it's like, yes, it's true. There are a lot of things that, like, there are so many issues worth advocating. How many sports athletes and celebrities and journalists are talking about bringing home Americans from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts? Not many. Angela Goodwin, a bit late, but Shana Tova. That's that. Thank you so very much, Angela. Shana Tova to you. God bless you, Angela. Happy New Year. Thank you. But Jason Whitlock is fantastic. I'm not going to get into one of the reasons why he's so amazing, but check out his writing and check out The Outkick. Subscribe to it. Support this man because he is a bridge to sanity. One of the few links to sanity that we still have in American culture, and specifically pertaining to sports. The issue, ladies and gentlemen, like it's fine if you like if a celebrity or an athlete or an industry, whether it's athletics or sports or the NFL or baseball or the NBA or Hollywood or whatever, you have actors. If you want to take up a cause, fine. That's good. But there are a lot of causes out there. Like I said, how many people are saying bring home American soldiers? Actually, Kaepernick said that. And he said that during in 2016. He talked about Hillary Clinton and he talked about President Obama's foreign policy. But it's like you could find a cause to paint the United States. You can focus on an injustice. There are unfortunately numerous injustices that are still taking place in this country. It doesn't mean it's a bad country, because guess what? There's not a country in the world devoid of injustices. Every country on this planet has numerous, or perhaps a great many. Most places have infinitely more injustices than we have in this country. But if you want to support a cause, fine. I don't even want to get into it, but Jason Whitlock is awesome. So, The Outkick, subscribe to The Outkick. It's fantastic. Michael Cornelio, thank you. Thanks for your support of the president. I still doubt there will be a debate with Sleepy Joe. I can't see it. I can't see it. Michael, thank you so very much for your support and your generosity. Thank you, Michael. I can't see it, I tell you. They're going to get, if you want to use a sports analogy, they're going to get absolutely, like President Trump's going to run up the score. You're not going to, you can't go into November 3rd thinking you're going to get enough enthusiasm in the Democratic Party to vote. He has less enthusiasm than Clinton. He has less support among black and Latino voters than Clinton. And yet they say he's doing better polling-wise than Clinton. It's like, no, he's not. The media doesn't cover this man. His absurd answers, the fact that he said he wanted to run for Senate, his bizarre meandering, his slurring of speech, they don't cover this man. And then, they just don't cover. The Senate report came out today. Oh, my God, they were in damage control. They were in public relations mode when he made that truly racist comment, the "you ain't black" comment. Oh, my God, this was 3 days before George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis, a blue state, 6 years after Eric Garner was murdered. In New York, all run by Democrats. It's pretty unbelievable. Michael, thank you so very much, Michael. Eli, Eli, thank you. Love your show. Democrats will never learn. They will lose again. Trump 2020, 24, 20. Thank you. Eli, thank you very much. Eli and Michael. Eli, you're right. They'll never learn because they run on this paradigm where they are morally superior. They're a bunch of narcissists who think that they're morally superior. They're actually the true racists, not Trump supporters. It's not like Trump supporters and President Trump don't look at race as as part of a political calculus. They don't. The immigration policies, they focus on Stephen Miller. President Obama had worse policies when it comes to liberal. Worse. There was a Senate panel, ladies and gentlemen, that the most horrendous things took place under President Obama's administration. And I can't even bring them up on YouTube now. So they claimed they finally have this liberal conscience when they're not in the White House. Eli, thank you so very much. Thank you for your generosity. Eli, thank you. Truth-seeking. We're just days away from truth-seeking. Every day is going to be even more interesting from here on out. And it really is. Every day is going to be even more interesting. It's kind of like the Supreme Court, truth-seeking, and Eli and Michael. The Supreme Court is Christmas come early. It really is. It's Christmas come early, the Supreme Court. The Second Amendment is very important to me. And I want judges to protect the Second Amendment. And so you have judges now to protect the Second Amendment. Angela Goodwin, as for thought-provoking teaching, oh well, in kindergarten we read Arnie the Donut and the likes, and the later literatures are just as silly. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. It's still more thought-provoking than many of the Democratic Congress people read. Or more thought-provoking than, I guess, the nonsense that they've tried to espouse. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, as always. You look, ladies and gentlemen, and they're pretty much done as a political party. So Schumer said they wanted to protect the rights, the rights to the body, which they said would go down the drain if Trump were successful in his plan. Okay, well, they're not going to overturn Roe v. Wade. So even Amy Coney Barrett said that she had no plans to she wouldn't want to overturn precedent. It's kind of also interesting. They're like, nothing's off the table. Like, when was anything off the table for Democrats? They've put everything on the table always. They've put everything on the table. When were they ever not going to impeach President Trump? They were always thinking of impeaching him again. See, this is the thing. They have media. They have media in their pocket. When they lose again, you're going to see media change its tune. It's going to have to. They're going to have to change its tune. I mean, they're going to have to change their tune. Because you had media apoplectic, seething, fuming, hysterical, maniacal, rabid, frothing at the mouth, just like most Democrats. And President Trump still won. The question, it's interesting. They never look in the mirror. They always say, like I know that there are people out there like, oh, H.A. Goodman, he's such a horrible human being. It's like, well, why don't you look at yourself? I have a vantage point that resonates. It resonated on the left, and it resonates now among supporters of President Trump, because I support President Trump. In fact, there are a great many people who went from Bernie Sanders to Jill Stein to President Trump. A great many people. A lot more than the left would like to admit. Any person that Max Boot and Bill Kristol support and the Lincoln Project neoconservative support, I'm voting for the opposite person. I'm not. This is the difference between the Democratic Party and Trump supporters. If President Trump tomorrow said, Lincoln Project, come on back, Lincoln Project, he would lose the election by a landslide. New gold dream. An unfiltered Trump-Biden debate will have Trump eating Biden live on stage, which will be deemed inappropriate for general audiences, which will lock the which will lock the election for Trump. Exactly. New gold dream. Thank you very much. But you know what's going to take place, new gold dream. Biden, God bless him, is going to breathe, and he's going to communicate certain thoughts, and that will be enough. They are going to say, if he just is able to speak, if the man is just able to speak, then that'll be enough. And that's the way they work. That's the way they work. If he's just able to speak, they have such a low opinion of their voters. Because what the message they give is, well, we gave you somebody who's alive. What's the problem? We gave you a breathing entity. This man's heart is pumping, thank God. What more do you want? I told you you could get an alligator with a top hat, and they would vote, and the polls would say the alligator is out polling Trump. They are so delusional. Then they're going to lose again. Be here on this channel, November 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. People, we're going to and I'm going to do these live streams every night at 9 p.m. If it starts at 9:30, the link will be up before 9 p.m. It's usually up by around 8 p.m. You know, it's either 9 or 9:30 p.m., but this is every single night. You're going to have the Ushanka hat and yours truly every single night. New gold dream, thank you. Every single night, you're going to have the best political live stream in all of YouTube in the evening, where we'll be able to just decompress and kind of look at the insanity of the day. But look, the Democratic Party, ladies and gentlemen, is actually, this is, I said this when I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet. They're being dismantled before our very eyes. Oh, by the way, if you want to be part of a newsletter, my website is almost up, ladies and gentlemen. hagoodman.com is almost up. Eric, Luke, everyone here, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. It has a good deal of my writing. It has some really interesting YouTube segments I've had. It has a place you could sign up for newsletters. It's awesome. It's awesome. Then you have, ladies and gentlemen, really quickly, getting to it. It's interesting. David Harsanyi, he talked about this as a National Review journalist. After 4 years of paranoid Russia coverage, you'd think it'd be somewhat big news that a presidential candidate's son got $3.5 million from a Putin stooge. So they don't care. They don't care. It's like they don't care. They don't care. They're when it comes to they're in constant cover-up public relations mode. They don't. It's not about. See, and then you get the headlines: Republican inquiry finds no evidence of wrongdoing. there was no evidence of wrongdoing with President Trump. The issue was suspicion. They don't care. See, the issue of suspicion is a valid concern when it's Democrats suspicious of Trump. When it's Republicans suspicious of Biden or Clinton, oh my God, it's baseless. You shouldn't be suspicious. There's no reason for suspicion. You can't question if you have no reason to question. You have no reason to be suspicious. Oh, something happened at the edge of the galaxy. Oh my God. Oh my God. It has to be Trump's fault. And then Donald Trump Jr., your son took $1.5 billion from the Chinese government and $3.5 million from a known associate of Vladimir Putin. You spent 50 years shipping American jobs. Okay. So, now here we go. Joe Biden. I've dealt with guys like Donald Trump my whole life. No, you haven't. You've been in Congress your whole life. Guys who look down on you because they got a lot of money. Well, it's okay. You have a lot of money now also. Guys who think they're better than you. Nobody buys this shtick. Nobody buys this. Guys who inherited everything they got in life and then squandered it. This is kind of hilarious too, because there are people who truly think like Trump is like has no money. They've convinced themselves they've just convinced themselves of things that aren't true. New Gold Dream, thank you. Jay Barnard, love the Gene Simmons. Love the Gene Simmons wig. HA, thank you so very, very much. Thank you. Love it. Gene Simmons, thank you. Love Kiss, by the way. Love Kiss. Kiss, one of the great rock bands of all time. Jay Barnard, thank you. Donnie Chappelle, nice lid. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you, Donnie. Donnie Chappelle, thank you. You know, it keeps me warm. It keeps me warm. And actually, it's kind of like having this... kind of like having like a microphone, or an earpiece in each ear. My voice is amplified as I speak, so it's kind of interesting. Donnie Chappelle, thank you. Donnie Chappelle, thank you very, very much. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun wearing these. It's really, really fun wearing these. They're like super warm. Yeah, it's awesome. So you have the Ukraine report today. Now this is from Senator Ron Johnson. Why did Hunter receive $3.5 million wire transfer from the wife of the former mayor of Moscow? And then, of course, the New York Times, no wrongdoing at all. There was no wrongdoing at all. No wrongdoing. Absolutely no wrongdoing. Absolutely, positively no wrongdoing. No wrongdoing. There was absolutely no wrongdoing at all. Ladies and gentlemen, no wrongdoing. Meanwhile, everyone knows that there's a reason to be suspicious. The issue, ladies and gentlemen, Elroy, hello. The reason, ladies and gentlemen, that Democrats are suspicious of President Trump always is they can't find any direct evidence he did anything wrong. And they actually fabricate narratives to get suspicion, just to promote suspicion. Oh, by the way, Rand Paul wants to create a criminal inquiry into that should be fun. Wants to create a criminal inquiry into Ron Johnson's report. So And you have the highest mortality rate in Democratic-run states. New York and New Jersey have the highest mortality rates. That's another story. That's another story altogether. Without the media, look, without the media covering for the Democratic Party incompetence and corruption, and there's true corruption there. You don't have James Comey covering up the Clinton email probe and covering up and fabricating, creating a Mueller probe based on information purchased by Madam Secretary. That's pure corruption right there. Like pure corruption. Politico, GOP Senator's anti-Biden report repackages old claims. And I love it. If it was Trump, oh my God. Market Watch. Oh, that's right. President Obama's officials addressed they acknowledged conflicts of interest. And you have, ladies and gentlemen, it's just so... They impeached Trump without direct evidence, simply with suspicion and based on the opinions of experts. There are experts who also say, there are experts who are Trump supporters who also say, everybody from Rudy Giuliani to, you don't trust Rudy Giuliani, but you trust an unknown government official who comes out of the woodwork saying that Trump was, disloyal. Or that Trump was trying to interfere in the election. And why would Biden's corruption be an interference in the election? That I don't understand. The midterms didn't interfere with the... so the Mueller probe never interfered with the midterms, but investigating Biden would interfere with the election. I don't get that. Donnie Chappelle, thank you so very much again for your support. Always. Thank you for always watching. IDKENG. If Trump wins 2020, he needs to leave Twitter, move to Parler. Twitter is going to go broke, because that will force all media and haters to go to Parler. Yeah, Twitter is going down. Twitter is definitely going down the drain. It's kind of funny too, because the way that it's funny, IDKNG. Twitter is like the worst place. It's the worst invention. It's the absolute worst. We had enough problems. We had enough problems in this country, or we had enough problems in the world, or human beings had enough problem communicating with one another without miscommunication. Then you add Twitter, and it's like, oh my God, it's like it makes conversing or dialogue into like this semantic battle all the time. It turns even the most mundane interactions, benign interactions, into potential arguments that last forever. Well, this is pretty awesome. Trump names Devin Nunes as Inspector General of the Intelligence Community. I would... oh, my God. I have to... Why did I not... This is amazing. Why did I just find this out now? That's amazing. Trump nominates former Nunes aide. Okay. As Inspector General. So, former House aide to Devin Nunes. And then Democrats are like, I'm speechless. Like, they literally look at the intelligence community as an extension of their own political biases. That's it. That's it. That's why they've come to expect now. They've come to expect now They've come to expect intelligence officials to side with them, media to side with them. They're like propped up. Their ideas don't resonate. Like they can't win based on ideas. They have to win based on overwhelming media support, intelligence operatives that support them, Hollywood, like total and complete allegiance from Hollywood. Like you cannot, you absolutely cannot direct a movie if you're supporting President Trump, or if you don't support everything that Robert De Niro or the average Hollywood director or producer conveys, then you're pretty much done in that industry. Unless you've, been extremely successful. So the Trump supporters in Hollywood are like extremely successful. And I can't get over the I just love the fact that they're so powerless. They're so powerless all the time. They have no. They constantly lose, and yet they're always conveying this sense of moral superiority and this like apoplectic, seething, fuming narcissism where they condemn and judge. They always stand in condemnation and judgment, yet not when Biden says, you ain't black if you don't vote for him. That's okay. I mean, immediately when he said that, immediately you had people in the Washington Post, the New York Times, come to his defense. Aaron Paradiso, do you think the activists will force Trump to use Sedition Act? Well, William Barr is already using the sedition laws. William Barr is already using these laws against certain people who engaged in fiery but peaceful protests. So, Aaron, he's already using these laws, and it's not going to be very difficult to prove that you had certain groups of people, perhaps not associated with noble causes, who wanted to overthrow the government. So, it's interesting, when President Trump gets the third Supreme Court nominee, or he gets the third Supreme Court justice. When he gets the third Supreme Court justice before the election, that's going to have the opposite. There's some people saying, "Oh, that's going to get Democrats riled up." No, it won't. No, it won't. It's like that's like you're going to the title game without a chance to win the title. I don't know if it's exactly like that, but they're going to be even less enthusiastic than they already were. So, and you these the quicker flipper picker upper. The golden move is the golden standard of how to lose an election. Yes, I would say so. She could be, if they go with Biden, which, I mean, they're just waiting the golden move, Hillary Clinton's going to replace Biden at some point. They can't possibly go with Biden, because it would be pretty much the end of their political party at that point. Because they could lose with Clinton and still rebound. With Biden, they'll look back from their drunken stupor and say, "My God, what were we thinking?" Thank you, the quicker flipper, bigger upper, Teresa King. If Nunez was in the right place, and with Ratcliffe already in the right place, we could really have drained the swamp with William Barr. Teresa, that's true. But it's very difficult that you had William Barr for the past maybe year or so, maybe a little over a year. We've had William Barr. So imagine if he came in with, Sessions was the absolute worst thing to ever happen to President Trump. And honestly, without Sessions, you don't have the Mueller probe. So, it's just really unbelievable. IDKENG! Thank you, Teresa, thank you. IDKENG, you cannot do all those Hunter deals without the approval of a sitting president. All the branches working together. Hunter was working for the team. There are definite, obvious questions. This is the thing. IDKENG, there's suspicion. The issue is suspicion. They're not suspicious when it's their side. They're not you had millions going from Uranium One into the foundation, and then a deal goes through while Mueller is FBI director and Yellow Cake is shipped out of the country. IDKENG, Yellow Cake was shipped out of the country. And it's like nobody cared. And the media is like not only oblivious, they're actively covering everything up because they don't report. They barely report on it, like one article, and they don't obsess over it. That's the thing. What media does is they'll report facts, but they'll weave a narrative that is not factual, or they'll weave a narrative that does not reflect reality. IDKENG, thank you. Jennifer, hello. New Gold Dream. There is an inexplicable, strange evil undercurrent controlling the left, manifesting itself in fear and destruction. New Gold Dream, at the heart of it, thank you very much for your generosity, New Gold Dream. At the heart of it is a fear of losing political power. So it's just like that. What's the... Eric, you always remind me, you always tell me the name. Other people tell me the name of, because I love Lord of the Rings, but I forgot the name of, what is it, Smaug? The monster that says, precious, precious. What is that? My precious. Gollum. Gollum, right? Who's a Lord of the Rings aficionado here? Eric, are you my Lord of the Rings aficionado? Who's the Lord of the Rings aficionado? Smeagol. Gollum. Okay, that's Gollum. So exactly. So New Gold Dream. It's just Gollum. They've turned into the Lord of the Rings monster, Gollum, where where it's like, it's like New Gold Dream, they've lost political power. So you're going to see the bad side of the left. See, there's also something to be said about a political side that pretends it's morally superior. Because as they lose political power, they'll engage in further corrupt tactics and disingenuous and immoral tactics, which will then make them even more apoplectic. So they're not doing well at all. They're not doing well at all. It's interesting. It's interesting that Democrats don't learn they don't learn from their failures. It's interesting. They just repeat the same mistakes over and over again, and they expect a different outcome. They repeat the same mistakes over and over again. They expect a different outcome, and it's like they're not going to win this election. This election is done. They are setting themselves up for yet another catastrophic biblical failure. They're going to lose on election night. It probably won't even take until the next day. They're going to lose. They're going to melt and dissolve into a cauldron of their own, like, apoplectic, seething, fuming venom and discontent. It's going to be like the Wizard of Oz with the... they're just going to dissolve. I'm melting. They're going to melt and dissolve in a cauldron of their own venom and vitriol. And they ain't going to win. Like, President Trump has more support among black voters, more support among Latino voters than before, more support among Asian voters, more support among Jewish voters, more support among every demographic group. I mean, there are 30 to 40 million Americans, Democrats, who will vote for a Democratic politician, even if that politician is an alligator with a top hat. They don't care. They don't care if George W. Bush is the next Democratic candidate. They don't care. They will vote party line. They have been trained for. They've been, told their whole lives that the only way to achieve political influence and power is to vote Democrat, and that's it. And they truly believe that they believe all the nonsense, and they believe all the leaps of logic, the absurd leaps of logic that, Trump is going to usher in the end of humanity, and Trump worked with Russia, and they just believe all of this. They believe that their side hasn't said horrible things, only Trump says horrible things, and that he's the reincarnation of 1930s and 1940s Germans, even though most Israelis and most religious Jewish people absolutely love Trump. I love President Trump, especially as a Jewish American. I had my bar mitzvah in Jerusalem. I have family in Israel. Especially as a Jewish American, I love President Trump for everything he's done for the Jewish people. No president has done more, in my view. I can look back on no president has done more. So, but see, Democrats, they like the left leaning voters despise, and when I say despise, that's being generous and kind. They have like a vendetta towards the only country in the Middle East that's Jewish. They have a serious vendetta. You can look at the left, and when I was on the left, I was like, there's going to be a moment when I'm not going to be able to take this. Because again, the leaps of logic, the inability to, the inability to just think, the inability to look at a situation, whether it's the Middle East or whether it's issues pertaining to the Second Amendment or climate change or Green New Deal legislation or Medicare for all or immigration or foreign policy. They never look at a situation and say, okay, they never look at a situation and say, what are the nuances or what are the complexities or what like is it fair for me to say one side is perfect, one side's not perfect, or one side is just, one side's immoral? Is it fair for me to just simply because what they do all the time is they paint a picture, one side just, one side completely immoral, and I am on the side of justice, and that's it. And that's it. Aaron Paradiso, what part of this rebellion do you think Beijing is playing? I don't think much. I don't think much. I don't think any country, Aaron, I don't think whether it's Russia or China, I don't think any country, even if they have, even if there's a political side that they like more than another political side, I don't think any country has the ability to truly sway. I don't think that any country truly has the ability to sway an American voter. I don't think, Aaron, that's possible. Great questions, Aaron Paradiso. Thank you. Democrats are interesting too, Aaron. You bring up a great point. They have an aversion. In fact, they have a serious problem with ideas and arguments that they can't refute. So they have a big problem with people just holding a different vantage point that's just as logical, in fact, even more logical than the one that they're trying to espouse, than the vantage point Democrats are trying to espouse. Like, you cannot tell a Medicare for all person, hey, you know what? We're the third most populous country in the world. It's probably not feasible to take care of the medical costs of every single one of the 320 million Americans. It's probably not feasible, which is why the Democrats never passed a Medicare for all bill, and which is why they're not serious about Medicare for all. Their ideas are rooted in these noble, ideals. This noble vision of the future where, you want everyone's health care to be taken care of. People are going bankrupt. And yes, that would be fantastic. Is it feasible? Well, you have money for wars. You just dissed yourself. You're voting Democrat. They're the ones who want regime changes. They're the ones who voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. And Trump and the Lincoln Project people don't like. They were kicked out of the Republican Party because of President Trump. They dissed themselves. So it's like they come up with, well, you have money for this and that. It's like, yeah, so what's your point? Well, then you'll have money for this. Also, you'll have money for Medicare for all. Also, it's like, well, no, because that's actually more expensive. You'll save money in the long run. Like, well, not everybody wants to do away with their current healthcare plan. Like, millions of people want private insurance. Also, not everyone in the country pays income tax. Something like, 40% of Americans don't pay income tax. Okay, so percentage of Americans who don't pay income tax. 44% of Americans don't pay income tax. So they're not going to pay their income taxes won't go up. The income tax of like 56% of Americans will go up exponentially, or like double to triple, according to Mercatus study. So Brad's Adams low. IDKENG, if you help the promised land, you are going to receive the grace of God. 3 SCOTUS nominations is not causality. God is on your side. IDKENG, God bless you. Thank you. IDKENG, God bless you. And thank you for the kind words and the positivity. And for your support always. They're heading towards a cliff, an iceberg. They're heading towards Armageddon. They're heading towards the end of their political party. And there's nothing that they can do. Like, if they keep, we're going to, they said something to the effect they want to burn, it all down, It's like, you're powerless to do anything. You can't even, Democrats can't even run a small contest in Iowa without shenanigans. They're not going to do anything grandiose. They're not going to pack the courts. You would need all three branches. You would need both houses of Congress and the executive. They got that for 2 years, and President Obama's election was historic in 2008. Absolutely historic. First black president we've ever had. It was an historic election. He ended up destroying a country in Libya and doing a whole bunch of other horrible things, but it was historic, and it was profound, and it was amazing, and there was enthusiasm, and I remember how enthusiastic I was. I was literally crying. Tears of joy. I was like it was just so amazing. The enthusiasm was off the charts. Now you have enthusiasm for Trump, not for Biden. And at the end of the day, Madam Secretaries, I don't know why they're waiting so long. It makes no sense. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I'm running out of steam right now, but Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, thank you so much, gentlemen. And be here, everyone. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. I have a great segment up on that channel, and a bunch of great segments up. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I will see you tomorrow. Be here at 9 p.m. Pacific, ladies and gentlemen. God bless. To my super chat, thank you. You want to be part of a newsletter? It's contactgoodman78@gmail.com, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Luke, Eric, thank you. And people, to my super chat, thanks so much. I'll see you tomorrow, everyone.